All right, let's look ahead now to week 6. There's some fun matchups here this week, and we're gonna start at 11 a.m. on ESPN. I'll be watching LSU at Missouri. LSU coming off that, which was a fun game against Mississippi on Saturday night. They lost 55-49. They come back and have to play Missouri, who is undefeated at this point in time. So Missouri, their quarterback is Brady Cook hasn't thrown an interception in like 360 something pass attempts dating back to last season. That's pretty impressive, right? Missouri has also got a couple of other guys that I think are intriguing prospects with offensive tackle Javon Foster, their left tackle. They also have a couple of corners, Chris Abrams Drain, who's also I think local to Mobile. One of their corners is local to Mobile. Maybe Abrams Drain. It might be Rick Straw Jr. One of them is. But there are a couple of guys I think are draftable as well. And LSU, of course, loaded with prospects, probably led by Malik Neighbors, their wide receiver.
Yeah, it's. I think it's actually going to be a pretty big game. You know, I talked about last week some of the LSU defenders. I'll kind of bang that drum again. Mason Smith and Makai Wingo, I think, are two players who for LSU who have first round potential. And you know what? I'm going to drop a little special teams. Harrison Mevis, the kicker for Missouri, he is 250 plus pounds,
Very thick.
and he thick, and he's like musty. He's built. He's not like we've had some of those fat kickers in the past that are just big guys. I mean, he's built and he can kick a ball. He's a distance kicker. No, he's not the most accurate, but definitely an intriguing kicker prospect for this class.
Yeah, hit a game-winning 61-yard field goal to beat Kansas State earlier in the season. What's your thoughts on quickly on Jaden Daniels and how he's played this year?
I think it's similar to me to Dorian Thompson Robinson last year, where you're starting to see a little bit of flashes as a passer. Jaden Daniels always has been the athlete, big time recruit, who's had to move around and had some success last year at LSU after Arizona State. I think he gets drafted. I think he's a draftable quarterback. When a bunch of guys go back to school, someone takes him day 3, and maybe he can be a backup with some upside.
11 a.m. on ABC, Shane, you'll be watching the Red River rivalry between Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma, Texas, both undefeated coming into this football game. Oklahoma returning from dead. They weren't a good football team last year, and they seem to have it. Their quarterback Dylan Gabriel playing very good football this year, and they have a couple of offensive linemen that I think we both like, especially Andrew Rame, their center. I believe he's a center. And Texas, you touched on this, so I want to let you take the floor here. Their running back, Jonathan Brooks.
Yeah, I watched the Kansas game. I kind of went back and watched some of the Texas games. Jonathan Brooks, 30-year running back, wasn't necessarily supposed to be the starter. A lot of people thought the incoming 5-star freshman CJ Baxter would get the job, but he got hurt. Brooks has been super impressive. 200-yard game against Kansas. He dominated. Really, athletic. He's a Texas recruit, but he has the patience and the vision is there. He just kind of perfect timing skills at running back. So really intriguing running back that's moved up into my top 10 running backs for this class. But I'm excited for this one. Last year, Texas kind of drubbed Oklahoma. I think this game will be a little bit closer. But I'm definitely interested. JT Sanders, the tight end for Texas, is a super athlete that maybe has some first round potential as well. And I've always liked Tavondre Sweat, their defensive lineman, big nose tackle.
There is a question of whether Sanders is going to play this week or is dealing with an injury. I
Yeah.
had read something about that earlier. Quinn Ewers, you still, and we'll talk about him probably a little bit, I imagine, but is he still a high thought of prospect for you?
Yeah, he's played extremely well this season. The Alabama game, I thought, really stepped up into his own and has been consistently getting better. So, I think people forget Quinn Ewers came into college early. He left high school a year early. So, age wise, he's about the same, but definitely less experience. I think it's showing this year the physical talents that he has.
2 p.m. on the Pac 12 network. Shane, you'll be watching Washington State and UCLA. UCLA struggling a bit on offense the last few weeks. I still love their edge rusher, Laitu Latu. But Cam Ward, man, has really been playing his butt off here so far this season and emerging as a draftable quarterback prospect.
Yeah, he's really intriguing, Cam Ward, for Washington State because does it come out? I think he has another year of eligibility. He transferred up from Incarnate Word. Last year didn't play as well as people thought, but this year, I mean, he's running, he's throwing the ball. And I think a testament to that is the Washington State offensive line. Fa'alili Fa'amo is an offensive tackle prospect that maybe has a shot to go in the top 100, really light on his feet, kind of that old zone blocking offensive tackle. So he's definitely intriguing to me as well. And I kind of like the running back, Nakia Watson, pass catcher, but bigger back. Has had some injuries this year, but is interesting. I'll drop the Murphy twins for UCLA edge rushers as well. Gabriel Murphy and Grayson Murphy, both pretty good.
There you go. 2:30 p.m. on ESPNU. I'll be watching Texas State at Louisiana. And Texas State is an intriguing team because everybody talks about Colorado and the roster turnover that Deion Sanders did there but G.J. Kinney came up from Incarnate Word to Texas State. And he basically did the same thing at Texas State, where they got like 57 to 65 or something like that. Some ridiculously high number of new players in there as well. A lot of transfers, and that's led by the former Arkansas quarterback Malik Hornsby, who's had a very good season so far for them.
Well, he got benched, so he's not the starter this year. TJ Finley. Now TJ Finley, Malik. It was weird. Like as a college fantasy football guy, it made me mad because Malik Hornsby was announced the starter and then did not start week 1 and has not started yet this year. So the old Auburn quarterback. Unfortunately, Hornsby. I like him a lot too. Hasn't gotten the shot yet.
Well, maybe they should move him because like Arkansas did.
Yeah.
Arkansas moved him running back, and he did okay. Well, TJ Finley, the former Auburn and LSU quarterback, now at Texas State, I guess is the starter. A couple other players Texas State has that I'm intrigued to watch. Nash Jones, their offensive tackle, as well as Bo Corrales, the former SMU wide receiver, now at Texas State, 7th-year player, 6'3", 210. Down year for talent for the Raging Cajuns, but they have a solid interior offensive line prospect in A.J. Gilly. And I really like their undersized tight end, Neil Johnson.
Yeah, Texas State's offense is definitely interesting. I like Ashton Hawkins, too. Has been a successful kind of small speed receiver that's done well in that G.J. Kinney offense. This will be a good game. I'm excited to hear about it next week.
Texas State's been fun to bet on as well.
Yeah.
3 p.m. on Fox. Shane, you'll be watching UCF at Kansas. I don't really know what to make of UCF after that game last week where they blew like a 35-point lead to Baylor and lost. But they have a couple of intriguing players there to watch. My favorite is probably Ricky Barber, their interior defensive lineman. Kansas, I watched them a few weeks ago. They're really fun. They have a pair of running backs that I like. Devin Neal, their 3rd-year back. And I was really impressed with Rick Heshaw, the other running back, just based off his pass blocking ability and his ability in the passing game. He's really rock solid, 5'10", 220-pound back. They do a good job with their running game, and it starts with Jalen Daniels, their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel's been good. I think Devin Neal has impressed me a lot more this year than I kind of expected him to. So that's he's gotten back on my radar a little bit as a better pick. I also like their safety, Kenny Logan Jr., who's kind of a read and react type of safety back there for Kansas. UCF, not a ton of prospects I love. Probably Tremont Morris Brash is my favorite, the pass rusher for them.
6:30 p.m. on NBC. I'll be watching the battle for the Little Brown Jug, Minnesota and Michigan. I haven't watched Michigan yet this season, so we're going to skip over J.J. McCarthy because we're going to talk about him a little bit later. But am intrigued to see their receiver, Roman Wilson. Saw him getting a lot of buzz this week. He looks like he's becoming a solid prospect there. And Blake Corum, their running back, was a big fan of his last year before the injury. Anxious to see how back he is. As for Minnesota, we've talked about them a couple of weeks ago, but my main focus in this game for them is their safety, Tyler Nubin.
Yeah, first round potential for him. Michigan, I think the offensive line, just Miles Hinton on the right side coming in from Stanford, Drake Nugent, the center has played really well. Also came from Stanford, and
Zach Center as well.
Zach Center, yeah. I mean, they could Carson Barnhart, the left tackle, like they could have the offensive line drafted this year.
7 p.m. Some kind of Mountain West video.
I didn't know this when I took it. I didn't see that, so I got to make sure I can watch this game.
I will say this: all you have to do is go to like Mountain West video. Just Google it.
Okay, just Google it.
Because I watched the end of the Utah State James Madison game on there a few weeks ago because I was trying to see a bet through. So it is a thing that exists. But Colorado State at Utah State, 7 p.m. Mountain West video of some kind. Shane, Utah State picked clean. As far as prospects go, a lot of them transferred out. What prospects they did have: Terrell Vaughn, their receiver, a very small guy, but probably their best prospect. Colorado State does have some guys, right? And starts with Torrey Horton, their wide receiver, but Mo Kamara, their edge rusher, short 6'1", but man, he can get after the passer. And look out for their tight end, Dallin Holker, 6'5", 235, good guy to watch.
Yeah, I think a good call. I mean, I like Terrell Vaughn as maybe an undrafted free agent type for Utah State, though he got blanked against UConn. Dallin Holker is super intriguing. He's having a really good year. Transferred from BYU and had some success there. Us like Jack Howell, the safety for Colorado State, is a true freshman. Was one of the best safeties in the country. He's taking kind of a step back. He's not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy. But you mentioned Mo Kamara, and I love Torrey Horton. He does everything well.
And finally, 9:30 p.m. on ESPN, I'll be watching Arizona at Southern Cal. Yes, finally, the official watch of Caleb Williams is on for me as they play Arizona. Will Jaden DeLara play and give them some competition? We'll see. Jacob Cowing, the former UTEP wide receiver, is a stud out there as well. Jason Harris, their edge rusher, 6'7", 240, is one to watch. And so is Oregon transfer at linebacker Justin Flo. Those are some good players for the Wildcats. We've talked about Southern Cal a lot here. Anybody else that we haven't talked about that I need to look at in this game?
No, I think you hit it. Southern Cal wise, and we talked last week a little bit about the receivers, but I think Brendan Rice, son of Jerry Rice, has really emerged as the number one there. I maybe was downplaying him a little bit too much. So he might have emerged as a real prospect, maybe the best of the receivers for Southern Cal. So that is, that's fitting.
Yeah, he's really good. It's nice to see, a guy who's, the what kind of shadow is he in, right? I mean, your dad's only the greatest to ever play the position in football history, and you're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's tough.